PodcastHero.com. You know that moment when you're in the middle of an interview and your guest mentions something that sounds familiar? You know you've researched it for a previous episode, but now you're sitting there thinking, was that in the article about renewable energy? Or was it in that study I saved months ago about sustainable development? Meanwhile, your guest is waiting for a follow-up question, and you're mentally rifling through invisible filing cabinets in your brain? What if all this podcast research lived in one intelligent system that could instantly surface exactly when you need it? Welcome back to PodTools, the rapid-fire podcast that helps you plan, promote, produce, and profit from your podcast with the help of AI. I'm Andrew McGivern, and today we're solving every podcaster's hidden problem: research chaos. How NotebookLM can be your personal podcast research library. This week, we turn your scattered research into an intelligent, searchable knowledge base that grows with every episode. If you caught last week's episode on ChatGPT research shortcuts, you learned how to research faster. Today, we're going deeper. We're going to talk about how to organize, store, and actually use all that research you're gathering. The tool we're exploring is Google's NotebookLM, and I'm going to show you how it can transform from a simple note-taking app into your podcast's intelligence research brain. Picture this scenario. You're a health and wellness podcaster who's interviewed 50 different experts over the past year. Now you're prepping for an episode about sleep optimization. And you know at least 3 of your previous guests have mentioned something relevant about sleep. Without a system like NotebookLM, you'd be scrolling through old show notes, searching through scattered documents, maybe even re-listening to episodes, trying to find those golden nuggets. With NotebookLM as your research library, you could simply ask, what have my previous guests said about sleep quality? And instantly get organized insights from across all your interviews and research. That's the power of having an intelligent research system instead of just a collection of random notes. First, let's talk about how NotebookLM becomes your research collection point. Think of traditional research like having papers scattered all over your desk. Of course, we have tools like Evernote and OneNote and Notion that can store all this information in a more organized way. And I love these tools. But NotebookLM is like having an intelligent filing cabinet that not only stores everything, but understands what each piece contains. Here's how to set this up. Create notebooks for different podcast themes or series. Let's say you have a technology trends notebook. Every article, study, interview transcript, or research note about tech goes in there. But here's where it gets powerful. You can upload PDFs, past articles, add voice memos from your phone, even upload previous episode transcripts. NotebookLM reads this and understands all of it. The magic happens when you ask questions like, what are the main arguments for and against remote work? Instead of hunting through individual documents, NotebookLM synthesizes information from across your entire collection. And the second capability of NotebookLM is discovering connections you'd never find manually. Imagine you're researching productivity, but you've also collected content about mental health, workplace culture, and technology trends. You might not consciously connect these topics, but NotebookLM can. You could ask, what connections exist between productivity and mental health in my research? And NotebookLM might surface insights like how certain productivity techniques actually increase anxiety, or how mental health breaks improve long-term productivity. This is especially powerful for interview preparation. Let's say you're interviewing a marketing expert, but you've previously collected research on psychology, consumer behavior, and social media trends. You could ask NotebookLM, based on my research, what unique questions could I ask a marketing expert that connect psychology and social media trends? You'd get interview questions that no other podcaster would think to ask because they don't have your specific, unique collection of interconnected research. And the third game changer turning research into content formats. NotebookLM doesn't just store and search your research, it can transform it into different formats you need for podcasting. Need show notes? Ask. Create bullet point summaries of the key concepts from my renewable energy research. Want social media content? Try. Give me 3 surprising statistics from my health research that would work as social media posts. And preparing episode outlines. Ask, based on my research about productivity apps, create a logical flow for a 30-minute episode that covers benefits, drawbacks, and recommendations. The key is that NotebookLM is working from your curated research, not generic internet content. So the insights and content it generates are unique to your podcast and aligned with the depth of research you've already done. And it makes it far less likely to have hallucinations. Let me show you this in action with a concrete example. Imagine you're creating a podcast about sustainable business practices. Over 6 months, you've collected research papers about renewable energy, articles about corporate sustainability, interview transcripts with green business owners, and case studies from companies reducing their carbon footprint. All of this goes into your sustainable business NotebookLM notebook. Now you're preparing for an interview with a sustainable packaging expert. Instead of trying to remember what you learned from previous research, you ask NotebookLM, what do businesses commonly get wrong about sustainability? And what questions would challenge a packaging expert's assumptions? NotebookLM might respond with insights drawn from your renewable energy papers about greenwashing, or your interview transcripts about cost challenges, and your case studies about consumer behavior, giving you interview questions that are informed by months of research across multiple angles. That's research depth no other interviewer would have. Here's how to set this up for maximum impact. Create notebooks by theme, not by episode. Think health and wellness, technology trends, business strategy, rather than episode 47 research. Content types that work best are PDFs of studies, article text, interview transcript, your own voice memos, YouTube links, MP3 files, and previous episode notes. The more context you give NotebookLM, the smarter it becomes. Power questions to ask NotebookLM. What are the most controversial points in my research about this topic? What do experts disagree about in this research? What connections exist between topic A and topic B in my notebooks? What questions haven't I thought to ask about this topic? And a pro tip, after each episode, upload your transcript back into the relevant notebook. Your podcast becomes part of your NotebookLM research library, creating a compound effect where each episode makes your next episode smarter. But NotebookLM is even cooler than that. You can ask NotebookLM to generate an audio overview, which is an AI-generated podcast discussion based on your sources. It is super cool and sounds natural, like 2 people having a real conversation. You can listen to their analysis and get some insights for how to communicate the topic yourself when you record your actual show. And you can interact with the podcast hosts and interrupt their discussion with clarifying questions. Super cool. You can also ask NotebookLM to generate a video overview, which will include slides that explain the topic with voiceover audio on top of the slides, like a presentation. Very cool, and it makes it easy to understand. But there's more. You can generate a mind map from all your sources. And this is a very powerful way to see what information you have and what you need to add to your research. And it is really awesome to see everything that you have in a mind map format to help organize all these thoughts and information. Here's what I want you to remember. The difference between good podcasters and great ones isn't just research quality. It's research organization and connection. NotebookLM turns your research from a collection of individual pieces into an intelligent system that gets smarter with every piece of content you add. Your June research informs your December interviews. Your interview insights enhance your solo episode preparation. Most podcasters treat each episode as a fresh start. With NotebookLM, every episode builds on everything you've learned before. So far, we've talked about how to make your research for your podcast better and more powerful. But you can use NotebookLM as a competitive tool. Create a NotebookLM notebook with all your competitors' episodes in it and ask NotebookLM to find topics they haven't covered yet. And now you have an idea for your show that differentiates you from them. And you can also use it to find the best content that they made and make your own version from your own personal experience and perspective. Pure gold. Your homework this week? Pick one theme you cover regularly on your podcast and create your first NotebookLM notebook. Upload 5 pieces of research and ask it 3 different questions. See how it connects information you never would have connected manually. That's PodTools for this week. If this changes how you think about research organization, share it with another podcaster who's drowning in scattered notes and random bookmarks. We're not done with NotebookLM. We'll be back in future episodes with more information and dive deeper. But next time, we're diving into Perplexity and how it can get real-time research with citations, perfect for staying current on rapidly changing topics. Until then, keep your research organized and your insights connected. I'm Andrew McGivern, signing off for now. See you next time.